In the world of money, there's a secret that separates the wealthy from everyone else. It's not luck, it's not just inheritance, and it's not even working harder. It's the mindset and discipline of knowing what to buy, more importantly, what not to buy. The rich don't just spend money, they use money to buy freedom. And that freedom comes from one thing: owning assets, not liabilities. Most people have heard the famous quote from Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad: "The rich buy assets. The poor only have expenses. The middle class buys liabilities they think are assets." It's simple, but the meaning behind it is profound. To truly understand why the rich keep getting richer, you have to first understand what an asset and a liability really are. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out. It's that simple. Assets generate cash flow, appreciate in value, or create passive income. Liabilities, on the other hand, drain your finances, even if they look shiny on the outside. A new car, the latest phone, or a big house might look like signs of success, but in financial terms, they're often traps. Let's start with how the rich think about money differently. When an average person gets a paycheck, they immediately think of what they can buy: new clothes, a better car, maybe even a vacation. These are rewards for hard work, but they're short term. The wealthy, however, see money as a tool, not a reward. Every dollar they earn is a little soldier, and their job is to send those soldiers out to bring back more money. Instead of spending their income on things that depreciate, they invest it into things that appreciate: stocks, businesses, real estate, intellectual property, or even their own education. Take real estate, for example. A rich person doesn't buy a house just to live in it. They buy a house to rent it out. The rental income covers the mortgage, the maintenance, and still leaves extra cash each month. Over time, the property's value grows, and they can sell it for even more. That's an asset. Meanwhile, someone else buys a luxury home they can barely afford, pays high property taxes, and watches their savings vanish in maintenance costs. That's a liability. The same applies to cars. A poor or middle-class person might buy a brand new car on credit, believing it's an investment in their image or lifestyle. But from the moment they drive it off the lot, it loses value. The rich often lease cars through their companies, writing off expenses for tax purposes, or they buy classic or collectible cars that actually appreciate in value, turning what most see as a liability into a strategic asset. Now let's talk about business ownership, one of the most powerful assets the rich invest in. When you own a business, you're not just trading time for money. You're building a system that makes money even when you're not working. That's the ultimate goal of financial freedom: income without labor. The rich know that salary income is limited by time, but business and investment income can scale infinitely. That's why many of the world's richest people, from Warren Buffett to Elon Musk, don't rely on paychecks. Their wealth grows through ownership: stocks, companies, and assets that keep paying dividends whether they work or not. It's not that the rich don't enjoy life or nice things, they do, but they buy those luxuries after their assets pay for them. This is the crucial difference. A poor or middle-class person might finance a luxury car with a loan, paying interest every month. A wealthy person, on the other hand, might invest in an apartment complex or dividend-paying stock first, then use the cash flow from that asset to buy the car outright. The luxury becomes a reward from their assets, not a chain around their finances. This mindset is what Kiyosaki calls making your money work for you. Think of it like planting seeds. Every dollar you invest into an asset is a seed that grows into a tree, and that tree keeps producing fruit every season. The more trees you plant, the more fruit you get. Liabilities, on the other hand, are like chopping down your trees to make a quick fire. You get warmth for a moment, but nothing grows from it. So why don't most people follow this rule? Because the system trains us to think like consumers, not owners. From school to adulthood, we're taught to get good grades, get a job, and spend our money on things that make us look successful. Banks, corporations, and advertisers all benefit from this. The more liabilities we buy, cars, credit cards, mortgages, subscriptions, the more we work to maintain them. It's a cycle that keeps people stuck. The rich break that cycle by understanding leverage. Leverage is using other people's money, time, or effort to build wealth. For example, a real estate investor might take out a loan to buy a rental property. The tenant's rent pays off the loan while the property increases in value. Over time, the investor owns a fully paid asset that continues to produce income. That's smart leverage. The poor also use leverage, but in the wrong way. They use debt to buy things that lose value, like cars, phones, or furniture. That's bad leverage. Taxes are another key reason the rich focus on assets. The tax code favors investors and business owners. Salaried employees often pay the highest percentage of their income in taxes, but when you own assets, you can access deductions, depreciation, and capital gains rates that drastically reduce what you owe. For instance, if you own rental properties, you can deduct mortgage interest, repairs, and even depreciation on paper, reducing your taxable income while your property's value grows. That's why Warren Buffett once famously said he pays a lower tax rate than his secretary, not because of loopholes, but because the system rewards ownership and investment. Another major advantage of owning assets is time. When you own assets that produce passive income, you free yourself from the constant grind of trading hours for money. You can focus on higher value decisions, starting new ventures, learning new skills, or spending time with loved ones. The poor and middle class often work harder just to stay afloat, while the rich design systems that work for them. It's also about mindset. The rich are long-term thinkers. They understand compound growth, the idea that small, consistent investments grow exponentially over time. Most people want instant gratification, which is why they buy liabilities. But the rich delay gratification, knowing that investing today will bring freedom tomorrow. That's why a wealthy person might drive an old car while their peers chase luxury. They know that wealth isn't about showing off. It's about control, independence, and peace of mind. Take Warren Buffett as an example. Despite being one of the richest men alive, he still lives in the same modest house he bought decades ago. His wealth comes not from flashy spending, but from owning businesses through his company, Berkshire Hathaway. Every share, every acquisition, every dividend, they're all assets generating more wealth while he sleeps. The lesson? It's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep and how effectively that money works for you. Even in modern times, we see this principle at play with tech billionaires. When Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos earns billions, it's not through salaries, it's through the appreciation of assets they own, like Tesla stock or Amazon shares. They don't sell their assets for cash unless they need to. They use them as leverage to borrow money at low interest rates, avoiding heavy taxes and keeping their wealth growing. They understand the power of ownership over consumption. So how can you apply this mindset in your own life, even if you're not rich yet? Start by looking at where your money goes each month. Make a list of your expenses and ask, does this put money in my pocket or take it out? Be brutally honest. Then commit to slowly shifting your spending toward assets. This could mean starting a side business, investing in index funds, buying dividend stocks, or learning a high-income skill that can generate future returns. You don't need to start big, you just need to start intentionally. Also, educate yourself constantly. Financial literacy is the foundation of wealth. Read books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Millionaire Next Door, and Think and Grow Rich. Follow investors, not influencers. Study how money flows. Learn about compounding, cash flow, and market cycles. The more you understand how money works, the more it will work for you. So the next time you get paid, pause before spending. Ask yourself, is this an asset or a liability? Because every dollar has a destiny, and it's up to you to decide whether it works for you or disappears forever. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because in our next video, we'll dive deeper into how to start building assets from scratch, even if you're living paycheck to paycheck. Remember, the goal isn't to look rich, it's to be rich, and that begins the moment you start owning assets, not liabilities.